So a few years ago, when my wife and I were living here in Hong Kong, we came to kind of appreciate the market forces of supply and demand here for the first time. And it was actually back when we were going to the doctor's office. My wife thought she was pregnant. We wanted to go confirm that. So we go. It's confirmed. We are going to have a child. So it's a great moment. We're walking out to the receptionist, and we thought we'll just pay for the doctor's bill. Then she says, well, there's a couple of hospitals. You need to go put down your down payment. We thought, well, wait a second. We still need to do our research. Like, can we actually exit first and then come back later? And it's like, no. You really need to actually go and put money down now. There's other people here in Hong Kong who are doing the same thing you are and finding out they're pregnant. There's only so many beds. And there's so many people actually having babies here. And so this was like the first thing, I guess, for us. It was like, this is just how our life is going to be going forward. And sure enough, when our son was 1, we're starting to get questions from friends, are you applying your son for school? I thought, school? Like when he's 6, like first grade? And they're like, no, when he's 2. Like daycare? No, school. I was like, all right, so like 5 days a week, 7 hours a day, that type of school? Yeah, that type of school. And so here we were, like when he was like, 1.5 years old, and putting him into school interviews. And I was kind of baffled at a time, but wondering what are they actually looking for, in this child, and is he good at playing with toys? Can he actually respond? When he was actually getting accepted to schools, we were super excited, but here he is, just as this 2-year-old. And then it continues, and so when he's about 3 years old, then it's where are you going to apply when he's actually 4? And I remember at that time, someone was actually saying to me, they said, no, this one really matters. It's because where he goes when he's 4, he's going to get streamed, and then it's the feeder to the next school, and the next school, and then to the Ivy League university. And I thought, seriously, like when they're 4 years old, this is like their life is being kind of chosen at that time. And I remember a friend of mine here in Hong Kong who had a daughter around the same age. She was going through the same thing and getting some of the same questions. She grew up for 11 years of her life actually in China. She moved to the United States and finished her school there, and went off to MIT, went for postgraduate at MIT as well. And she's had a very flourishing career since then. And so when she was actually asked this question, she said, no, actually, I'm not too fussed about this. And the person asking her was like, well, why is that? It's like, well, my daughter has an advantage. What kind of advantage? She has my genes. And so, it was something that actually stuck with me for a bit, where it's like, again, do you really need to be stressing out when your child is actually at the age of 4? And is your life predetermined from that point on? And so it made me think about what we're doing as a society, putting pressure on parents and on the kids themselves, and how are they actually growing up and actually going forward. And so there's the general statement, I would say, of you want to go to good school. The good school leads to a good job, good profession, good earning as you're actually growing a family, and then it repeats itself as you have kids as well. And I kind of wonder, should we be adding in addition to this that the child actually discovers and they find their passion and their interests, and they build a livelihood actually, built around those passions. When I was young, I actually had someone say to me, the ideal thing is actually finding that job where you say to yourself every day, I can't believe they're actually paying me for this. And that was something that actually stuck with me. And as I started out in my career, I was looking at, what are those jobs where I would have that same thought. And that, the company is actually paying me, and in some cases, I would actually pay the company just to get the exposure I'm getting in certain of these areas. And so what's really inspired me as I came into YouTube several years ago is just coming across people that are doing just this. They are earning a living, and a very good living at that, getting involved and exploring a lot of their passions. And they're building these two-way communities. They're building fans, and they're actually building friendships. And it's not so much like they're getting a lot out of this, and the people that actually consume the content are getting a lot of this as well. This digital economy is something that's not too old, and it didn't exist 10 years ago. I think just in terms of the income levels, this has really only become material in the last several years. But today it's a multi-billion-dollar global industry, and it's growing very fast. And what's also encouraging is that if you look at the content actually for kids and for learning, that little corner of this ecosystem is growing at 4 times the rate of the general platform. So it's really nice to see that nutritious content is welcomed and embraced just as much as delicious content. This is my son. I actually forgot to show this. This is him when he was actually 2 going to school. But I want to start with actually Sal Khan. So Sal is actually regarded as one of these thought leaders in the education space, and especially on a platform like YouTube. And today, like, his mission is really developing world-class education for anyone and anywhere. And when he started out actually on the platform, he was tutoring a family member, and the means of delivery was YouTube in terms of the file sharing service. But as he was uploading content, this is actually made public, other people actually go and find it. And today there's 4,500 videos on that channel. It's been consumed over 560 million times, and it's having a pretty big impact. And it's also being supported financially. So you have organizations like Bank of America that are getting behind it and sponsoring. You have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that are getting behind this as well. The other one I want to share is Hank and John Green. And so these guys actually started on the platform back in 2007, and as they've actually grown, they've established the VidCon community that happens every summer in Anaheim. It's going to happen. The next edition is late July, and they're expecting about 20,000 people to show up. So these are creators and fans alike that travel mostly from across America, but also now increasingly from around the world. And this is a program that Hank and John actually created. Now, 3 years ago, they started a new channel called Crash Course. And this is to get into the education content. And today, it has 3 million subscribers on that channel, 45 million views just this year alone. And there's content like the Israel-Palestine conflict, intros to anatomy, intros to astronomy, and Japanese history. This is something that's actually being used in classrooms and outside of classrooms and educating kids all around. Another one I want to share is Thug Notes, and this is actually coming from some young entrepreneurs in the US, and when they looked at how classic literature is actually being utilized in school, they thought there was something more that could be done. And so they've actually casted this comedian who's Dr. Sparky Sweets, and the motto for this channel is Classic Literature, Original Gangster. Now, this video here on Macbeth has been consumed 330,000 times, and it's just coming through some of the comments there, you can see that it's actually being used in class as well by teachers. But the way that he talks about it is that they're bringing a lot of literature to kids in a very open, accessible way. Michael Stevens manages the Vsauce 1 channel. There's Vsauce 2 and Vsauce 3. The main channel today is 8 million subscribers, and I think this year will be on its way to surpass 1 billion views. Michael is actually posing questions around, like, did the past really happen? And the science of awkwardness. But he has this large global community now that's embracing a lot of the topics and the questions that he's posing. And similarly, there's Derek Moeller out of Australia with his Veritasium channel. So Derek has a PhD in physics, and he could have gone the course of teaching in university, but instead his classroom is digital, and it's largely accessed through high school age students on their mobile phones. And this is a channel now with 2.3 million subscribers, and he's getting people to be really engaged into science and engineering and inspiring them to actually be interested in that subject matter. In Japan, there's Chika, and she runs this channel called Bilingual, and 400,000 subscribers to this community, 300,000 joined in just last year. And so she's actually making English lessons very accessible for Japanese people that actually are looking to go abroad or in a business context. And the last one I wanted to share is Taiwan Bar. I met the creator of this channel last month in Taipei, and after he finished university and military service, this is actually his main job. And when he was looking at the market, he felt that there was an opening for someone to come in and teach young people in Taiwan around Taiwanese history. And his approach here was like, I actually don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to be the famous person. So a lot of the content is animated. And what's been really interesting about this is that those animated characters are now well loved by the fans. There's 200,000 fans of this that have amassed around this channel in just the last 6 months. And he's actually now making merchandise, and this merchandise is generating income for him that's about triple the investment he's actually put in to grow this. So what we're seeing here is that it's not one size fits all. There's many different approaches that people are actually taking, and in each are finding success in their own unique way. But I'd say what is actually not occurring fast enough here in Asia, a region where education is such a premium, is that you don't actually see enough of these creators actually coming to the platform or in digital platforms in general. The supply and demand of the market is creating this market of paid services, which is unattainable, I would say, for some in many markets around this region. So another way maybe to look at this, which could be a better way, is how do you utilize this digital infrastructure that's in place, growing fast, day by day, and create an ecosystem of teachers, inspirational thought leaders, of life coaches that are inspiring kids to discover and grow their own personal passion, and make this accessible, free to those end students. Should we learn from those that I shared before, and not so much reward people for how do you create barriers of access around tuition fees and subscription fees, but really reward people around, are they engaging and are they inspiring this digital community? So the idea here is that you can do well financially augmenting classroom education, and many are doing this actually quite well, as I mentioned before. So if your desire is really to inspire and educate students, you can potentially earn more doing this than as a teacher. And the pressure that exists here to get access to good schools, the pressure to use tutors, it can be a large financial outlay. So we need more people in this Asia region to inspire students to become critical thinkers, creative thinkers, and discovering their own passions. And just in closing, I would say that my young kids now are YouTube savvy, they're on the platform every day, and hopefully there's someone here in this audience that actually comes and becomes an inspiration to young minds of this region, as inspiring them to find their own passion. Thank you.